Hello everybody! Spooky Sandwoman here. Thank you for checking out episode 29 of Seduce Me the Otome. Last episode? I don't know what we did last episode. Diana's our history teacher. Diana chuckled and looked back to the class.
Well, luckily in the real story of the Little Mermaid, the mermaid knows that what she was doing was wrong, and she threw herself into the ocean, turning into sea foam.
Some of the students that surrounded me mumbled in surprise, obviously not knowing the real story. However, Diana was wrong once again. That's not true. Once again, the class looked to me, and Diana faced me with another smile.
Not true. How so?
The trade-off for becoming human was marrying the princess or turning into sea foam. However, she was also given the choice to kill the prince and turn back into a mermaid. The mermaid did it because she loved him and sacrificed herself for that love. That is a story worth telling. Not some princess getting her way, but of a tragedy that had befallen on a girl who only wanted love. The class applauded, with Suzu giving me her usual punch to my shoulder and Naomi smiling at my logic. Diana, however, grew an almost angered face at me.
Interesting. So what you are saying is that the princess should be given no mind.
The story is not about the princess. The story is about the mermaid, and the mermaid should have gotten her prince.
Even at the risk of a kingdom falling apart?
Even if the entire world fell apart around them. Duty does not overrule love, and the princess needs to realize this. The applause that followed that intensified with whoops and hollers. I felt a wave of confidence roll through my body. Diana wasn't going to win. I wasn't going to let her. Diana then stopped talking and looked at the clock on the wall, reading it quickly. The class had barely begun. Why was she looking at the time? Diana then leaned against the blackboard and smiled to us. I became worried.
You know what? School isn't important. Everyone, go ahead and head home. Take the week off.
The students suddenly began to chat happily or in confusion of the situation. Many thought it was a dream come true. Others knew better. Before anyone could protest, however, Diana pressed a finger to her lips and counted down with her fingers in the air. 3, 2, 1. The speakers of the classroom gently awoke, giving us an announcement we would never believe.
Attention students, due to an emergency faculty meeting, we will be closing school for the remainder of the day and this entire week. Please leave the school quickly and quietly and have a good rest of the week.
She used her powers on them. Damn it. I felt the need to stop her, but how could I stop a demon in the middle of a public place? Diana smiled before gesturing to the door.
Have a nice week off. School will resume next week.
Many of the students filed out, chatting to each other about new impromptu plans. Suzu was beyond happy, but Naomi was hesitant. Before we could pack up and leave, however, Diana stepped to us.
Excuse me, little miss. I'd like you to stay a little while. There's something we need to discuss.
As Diana looked to Suzu and Naomi, she snapped her fingers, making my friends tense up.
You two can head home. Don't worry about your friend until next week, okay? If you contact her, she won't reply, so don't bother. If she contacts you, ignore her, because she's just fine.
As if on command, Suzu and Naomi left the room. I tried to march after them, but Diana stepped in my path, warning me with her eyes that if I followed, there would be hell to pay. I had lost my two friends, at least for the week. Diana and I were alone, just like she wanted. I slammed my hands on the desk in front of me and glared at Diana. What are you doing, and what are you thinking?
What? Do I not make a good teacher? I figured you should have a little lesson, so I took matters into my own hands.
Whatever you're trying to do won't work. This jazzy porn music will not help.
You really think so, dear? And what makes you so sure about that?
What was making me so sure? Why was I confident? Were the boys worth this? My thoughts began to fill with doubt. All of the uncertainties about this whole ordeal began to cloud my mind. If the boys were ever found out, there would be hell to pay. Was it worth it? What about Diana? What would she do to me? Would she make my parents forget about me completely? Would she ruin my friends' lives out of spite? In my gut, I felt a stone of confidence try to fight back, but the heaviness of my thoughts began to dissolve that stone little by little. What was going on with me? I looked up to Diana once again to see her gaze boring into my eyes. She was using her powers on me, this time away from home, so I couldn't escape. Or could I? Did I want to? The way she was staring at me made me feel warm and fuzzy inside my chest. I felt like melting. Diana lifted a hand under my chin and ran her thumb over my lips, licking her own. I could feel little shots of energy zipping from under my skin into my chin where she held me.
Now, let's have a little taste of that sweet, virginal sexual energy.
I watched as she leaned in, ready to kiss me and take my energy. Half of my body felt elation to the idea. The other half completely rejected it and didn't want her to even touch me. Matthew. Suddenly, Diana stopped in her tracks.
Matthew? Who is...
Then it dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why don't you tell me which boy is Matthew?
I felt myself nod in compliance. The fourth. Oh, so Damien was the youngest. Wow, that's weird. Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The child? With you?
Yeah, what of it? I nodded once again, but this time it was partly my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
All right, then. Well, if it's the fourth son you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
I don't wanna! Diana chuckled before kissing my nose, where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost making me dizzy and recoil. Diana then turned to the desk and sat at the wood, crossing her legs.
You can go now. Remember, no class for the rest of the week.
Cool! How am I supposed to get home? My two friends left me here thanks to you.
Oh, were they your ride? My apologies.
Oh, thought she was done. Sorry. Diana then lifted her hand and snapped her fingers. I suddenly felt the floor sink from underneath me, forcing me to look down. A purple pentagram surrounded my feet, pulling me into the ground. Wah! Wah! Right before I could fight, however, I sank fully into the floor, fading into darkness and shutting my eyes. As I opened them, I felt my silk sheets around me, soothing my anxiety from the darkness that had previously surrounded me. What the? Why did Diana bring me home? Was this an illusion? Was I being tricked? Something was going on. I sat up in bed, looking around me. This was indeed my room. There was no mistake about that. Why? Diana is too strange. Was this a game? Was this part of her plan to get the boys back? I was lost and confused more than ever, despite my logical thought trying to piece the puzzle that is Diana together. The more I tried to solve her, the less I understood about the situation I was in. I was interrupted, however, by my door opening, revealing the boys with Damien's hand on the doorknob.
Miss, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in school?
I furrowed my eyebrows and stared at Damien, asking him to answer their questions through my thoughts.
Diana sent her back here. She invaded her school and sent all the students back home.
Thank you.
What is that bitch up to? Seriously! Diana's playing around for no reason.
Maybe it's part of her plan.
The boys continued to argue back and forth about Diana, fueling an almost jealous curiosity in me. Damien seemed to be too deep within the talking to notice my thoughts, for he didn't stop talking alongside his brothers. Why was Diana after them? Why did she want to bring them back? What was so important about the boys that she would travel to the human world to get them? What was going on? I decided enough was enough. I needed answers. Hey! The boys stopped arguing, staring at me in surprise. I held my hands and fists on my lap, mustering the courage to continue to speak despite my abrupt shout. Why is Diana here? Why does she want to bring you all back? What exactly did you all run from? And why did you run from it?
Miss,
Don't miss me. Please, I need to know what is going on. I won't be left in the dark about this. I want to know what I'm facing. The boys looked at each other hesitantly, making sure of what to reply. Finally, Sam pushed Damien toward the bed, making him buckle and land on his knees with his torso half over the edge of the mattress.
Damien, do the thing.
The thing? What thing?
Sam, you're not suggesting.
Why not? She deserves to know everything, especially if Diana is targeting her.
Sam's right.
I guess we have no choice then.
I was getting confused. What was Damien about to do? Damien stood before climbing onto the bed with me, sitting across from me on his knees.
We're going to show you everything. You have to trust me, okay? The minute you stop trusting me, the vision will stop.
Vision?
It'll be okay. Just trust him.
I looked to Matthew, unsure of what was going on, but I nodded. If this was the only way to learn, then this was my chance to know. Damien gently placed his hands on each side of my head, gently pressing his thumbs into the skin above my eyebrows. I could only stare at Damien as his eyes began to glow gold and energy began to be pulled both out of me and forced into my head. Within seconds, my vision went black once again. I was unsure of what Damien was doing, but soon, shapes and textures slowly began to appear around me. I found myself sitting on a stone floor in the middle of what looked like a fantasy throne room. Where am I? I looked down at myself to stand, only to see my body as translucent as a ghost. Whoa! I jumped up and inspected my hands at the sudden panic. I was see-through! Why? What was going on?
How dare they try to negotiate with me? Do they not know whom they speak to?
Guess not. I gasped and ran behind a pillar, away from the voice. The sound of his anger and words frightened every bone in my body, turning me into a frightened child.
My lord, please calm yourself. Calm? They're merely testing my resolve. I have more than half of a mind to send my greatest armies to take what should be mine. They are mere insects in the way of my kingdom's expansion.
They merely asked for a marriage joining.
So I'm to bow to them and share my land that I have so rightfully conquered?
I peeked from behind the pillar to see a large demon covered in royal clothes, but buff enough to be a military commander. His rage practically emanated from his body as he growled at a servant.
They are willing to give their land to you, sire. All they ask is for one of your sons to marry their daughter, whom I might add is as beautiful as can be.
Excuse me a second. Alright, I'm back. Sorry.
This is ridiculous. To suggest that I need their approval to take their land is beyond insanity. What makes them think I care about their precious daughter?
Did I mention that she is a prodigy of her kind, sire?
A prodigy?
Yes, my lord. This succubus is a master of her skills in magic and mind manipulation. She is said to sway armies with a snap of her fingers, despite being as young as she is.
Impossible!
If only it were, sire. This succubus is dangerous, but would be a great asset to have should we agree to this arrangement. The only reason she cannot face you, my lord, is because you are the strongest demon in the plains.
Is this supposed to change my mind?
Yes, my lord.
You are doing a terrible job at convincing me.
My apologies, sire.
I was lost. I could tell they were talking about Diana, but why?
Father.
I quickly turned my head to see another demon who looked like a mere child, staring at the demon commander on the throne. Father.
Ah, Raystrout. Have you finished your training?
Yes, Father.
Then what do you want?
I want to be with my brothers the best of the day, Father.
The demon commander walked to the young demon and gripped his hair, picking him off the ground and forcing him to look up at his snarl. The young demon, however, looked unfazed.
Arrogance. Why should I allow you to be with them? I should kill you for your lack of respect to me.
Because I want to be with them, Father.
I could only stare as the young demon faced his father, despite the massive difference between them. This young demon seemed weaker and easy to kill versus the demon commander. Why would this man kill his son, though? Was this commander that ruthless? However, I wasn't expecting him to laugh and release the young demon.
Good! Assertive even in the face of danger. That is why you are my favorite son.
I could only stare wide-eyed as the commander placed his hand on the demon's shoulder.
Very well. Go. Tomorrow, you will show me your training.
The little demon grinned widely before running off.
I have a thought.
Yes, my lord?
How old is this daughter?
As old as your 5th, sire.
Do you believe this proposal is worth it?
Yes, sire.
Tell those insects that they are safe for now. I will consider their offer.
Sire, are you certain?
Did I stutter? Now go!
The demon servant quickly ran off, but as soon as he passed the pillar I was hiding behind, he, along with the commander, vanished into thin air. What had happened? I didn't get the time to try and figure out that before a demon who looked around my age walked into the room reading a book. Is that...
Raestrow, your nose is stuck in those books. Will you not lift your head up from them once in a while?
Huh? That voice. I circled around the pillar to see a second demon leaning against another pillar and smirking at Raestrow.
Aren't you supposed to be with your mother practicing the harpsichord?
I am, but I had a feeling that you were in danger.
In danger? What are you...
Attack!
All of a sudden, 3 shadows zipped through the room and slammed into Raestrow, forcing him to fall to the ground and drop his book. As the sight cleared for me, there were 3 other demons in a dog pad with Raestrow at the bottom.
Get up! No way! You haven't had a break in months from those stupid bugs. It's time for punishment!
Death by brotherhood! No more reading!
I told you that you were in danger.
I suddenly knew who these demons were. It's the boys. Even in the demon world, their brotherly connection was astounding. They were merely younger versions of themselves. One of the demons, who I assumed was Matthew, grabbed the book from the floor and opened it, reading it mockingly.
How can you read this, Raestrow? It's all about war strategy. It's boring.
I have to, Zakaru. Get off! There's only one thing you need to know about strategy. Kill them all. Take no prisoners.
You sound just like Father.
I couldn't help but giggle. It was cute to see them acting childish with each other. Eventually, James managed to push his brothers off of him and stand, brushing himself off.
You all are reckless. At least we have fun.
It's true. You haven't been with us in weeks. Don't you think it's time for a break?
I'm sure Father won't mind.
But I have to... I know you want to, Raestrow. Damn it.
What is going on here?
I shot my head to the voice to see the commander, aged a little, staring at the boys with his arms across his chest. Damien quickly dashed and hid behind Sam, peeking over his shoulder to see the large commander.
Nothing is going on. We just passed by each other.
Then why does your brother have your book?
I was showing him what I was learning, Father.
Return to your studies, Raestrow. The rest of you out of my sight. Do not disturb your brother again.
I could only stare as James gently took his book and, without looking at his brothers, returned to reading. The commander walked past the remaining brothers, growling at Sam and Damien before leaving the room. What was up with that? Well, we know what happened with Damien, but not with Sam.
Don't worry about it. We'll find a way to get him back.
I don't know. He's on a very tight leash.
Ezra, you're quiet. What did you hear?
He's going to a negotiation meeting. He's going to arrange a marriage.
A marriage? For who? It must be for one of us.
He hasn't decided who will marry her. It's a girl from a kingdom he wants to take over.
But that's uncharacteristic of him. Usually he'd just attack with the army.
Whatever the case is, one of us is getting married.
I hope it isn't me.
What about Raestrow? He's the eldest.
It would make sense, but having a succubus marrying one of us means that she'll be practically married to all of us.
Well, what should we do?
Before the conversation could continue, the boys vanished into thin air, fading into different colored mists. They were replaced by an older Damien and Matthew, sitting with each other in the middle of the throne room.
Do you think we should?
I really want to.
I want to as well. Still, it'll be hard to convince Raestrow, since he's the one about to be married, and he's the favorite.
Ooh, priest, that felt nice. Thank you.
We don't know that, Zukeru. Maybe she's set to marry you.
No way! I don't want to get married.
I don't think you'll have a problem with that baby face of yours.
I looked over to see Sam join the duo, crossing his arms and raising an eyebrow at his brothers.
What are you two talking about?
We got into contact with the human world again.
Come on, Ezreal. Give humans too much attention.
No way, you gotta listen. They apparently have stores and books and schools and stuff.
So what? It's full of humans who piss on each other for no reason. They're no better than the devil spawn.
Ouch.
Nuh-uh, the one we were talking to wasn't like that.
How do you know, Sakeru?
Because I do!
What is going on here?
They want to go to the human world.
The human world?
Raisturo, think about it. You won't have to marry that girl and be the heir anymore. You could be with us, and we can make lives for ourselves in the new world.
Now you're just talking nonsense.
I vote that we do it.
Huh? Oh, not you two.
Think about it. This may be our chance to finally get away from this political nonsense we're stuck in. We may be nobles, but we're still our own beings.
Ristrao is in.
What? Ezreal! Woo! So how do we get there?
Are you kidding me? You don't even know how we'd get there.
Okay, the breeze is getting a little bit more aggressive because it's blowing into the mic.
A simple spell should work, but it would require someone from the human world to help us get there.
I'm gonna end this episode off here. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and give a like and subscribe. Share with your friends if they like demons. Alright, bye-bye.